You really lacking self-esteem or confidence because you've kept things bottled up to yourself and you don't really want to share how you're feeling because you're worried what others will think of you. Well, I've certainly been in that boat. And today we're going to talk about the power of vulnerability and how you can make it a little bit easier for yourself to therefore build a better relationship with yourself. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra special point then. Now, I had a very hard 2023. Let me say that again, 2022, admittedly. Even in this space of sharing my stories on my self-esteem, confidence, and mindset and personal growth, I still get challenges, and it is a very hard one, hitting personal, professional way. And I realized I was in the emotional gym, as I like to call it, really working out. My emotions were being tested. And I've also had a health challenge that I've kind of started to share with one or two people, which is very difficult for me to open out about. And I used to be very insecure about things like never been in that serious long-term relationship and things like that, and what my stats were in my business and all these kind of things, a lot of things. And I found just by bottling it up to myself and not being truthful with even myself, it caused a lot of damage to my self-esteem and confidence. And yes, like some people may not resonate or like be as supportive as you want them to be, but it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. I found vulnerability also builds connections, one to ourselves and to other people. And if we suppress stuff as human beings, it can really, really destroy us. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and share with everyone. We're going to talk about how you can be vulnerable when you need to get something off your chest. And yeah, I'm going to dive into that in a minute because it's really helped me. But how is it helping you by just keeping everything bottled up and not wanting to share something like something you want to work through? Well, if you're anything like me, I was guilty and it was destroying me inside by not sharing some of the things like my health challenge or my real stats and my business. So people couldn't really help me because they didn't know I was struggling. Okay, so how'd you do this? I'm going to go into 3 steps, how you can start to be more vulnerable, because vulnerability will build confidence because you're okay with sharing more about yourself, and that builds a better relationship with yourself. Number 1, be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself. It's so easy to lie to ourselves. Sometimes I work in sales as well. I've seen people lie to themselves. They're like, I can tell they're lying to me, but I can tell they're lying to themselves. They're like, I don't really need this now. And they've just told me they have, but it's just the fear of the money. All right. You've got to be honest with yourself. Like, what is something you're hiding or blocking that you've got to be honest with yourself? For me, it was a particular health challenge for many years that I've had for like a good decade that I've only started to open up, and I will share more openly in time. And I'm kind of taking steps myself. But like, you've got to be honest with yourself. And when you can be honest, if you're not going to be able to really share with other people. So that's the first bit. The second one is, write it down, share like, or say it to yourself out loud. Like first say it in your head and then say it out loud or write it down, whatever you're more comfortable with, because that will allow you to build a better relationship with yourself. And then the third step is share with someone else. Now, you don't have to share the whole entire world. I just shared something very vulnerable with one friend, and then my coach, and then another coach. Okay. So just pick someone you can really comfortably share. Like, obviously pick that person wisely, because sometimes people just want to give you a load of advice and it's not really helpful. Pick a good listener and someone who's really going to care. Now, if you're struggling to find that, there's all kinds of like helplines like Samaritans in the UK, and you could hire a therapist or a coach, which is highly advisable for someone to really listen and pick a good one. So those are the 3 steps really build up vulnerability. And then what I would really say is praise yourself when you've done that, because you're giving yourself credit, and the more you praise yourself, the better you're going to feel. Okay, and my final bonus point really is it's an interesting one. It's this process called the Dickens process I did with Tony Robbins. And it sort of comes from this a little bit. And really, what I want you to think about is, it sort of stems from this. Think about what's going to be the consequence if you keep holding on to this challenge, like 1, 2, 5, 10 years. What's it going to be? What's going to happen? Are you going to be miserable? Are you going to be stuck where you are just because you got something that's pressing on you? So when you start feeling actually the implications, that'll make you want to start taking action and being a bit more vulnerable, so you can build your confidence as well. So I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives by being the best you. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.